So this is what happens when you throw your cigarette butts in the trash. What a mess. We're at our garage and test facility. Let's see what we're rolling out today. It appears they've sent us a 2021 Toyota Venza hybrid, which is slightly a step up from the smaller Toyota RAV4 hybrid, at least in price and outside size. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I think its styling looks pretty nice, at least from the front and the side. And here's the rear view. And one of the first things we do when we get a vehicle is check and see if there's a spare tire, especially on an SUV that might be taken off-road, or a hybrid, which rarely has a spare because of all the room the batteries take up. So let's load all this gear and take a peek under the floor here. Yes, indeed, there's a spare tire. Looks like a full-size one as well. And it appears we have lots of extra storage room under here. And we did videos on the 2021 Toyota RAV Prime and the 2021 Toyota RAV Hybrid. We have a link for both of those videos at the end of this video. And the second thing we want to do is take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform. Appears we've got two bulbs on each side. Alright, it's dark enough. Let's take these headlights out and see what they do. Look pretty bright to me. I'm impressed with the gauge cluster. Very sharp, very easy to read in the dark. Put the gear in reverse, and here's your rear view camera, which works a lot better with this wide screen versus the 8-inch standard screen you get in the lower grade vehicles. Now for the headlights, low beams on a wall 100 feet away. Decent spread. Normal height, go to high beam. Not much height, but bright enough. Here are the brights on the building 130 yards away. Go to low beam. Reaches out far enough. Overall, I would rate these headlights very good. No complaints from me. The only engine offered is a 2.5 liter hybrid, putting out 219 horsepower. Fuel economy is claimed to be 40 mpg in the city, 37 on the highway, and 39 overall. This is basically the same power plant you get in the RAV hybrid. I'm told there's some minor changes, nothing worth mentioning. Also, the Venza rides on a Toyota RAV4 platform. So what's the difference between the RAV4 hybrid and this Venza hybrid? Well, number one is price, 30 grand versus 34 grand, starting base price. Number two, the styling. This one looks a little bit better, at least I think. Number three, the cabin's a little bit fancier. We'll take a closer look in a moment. And here's the interesting part. The Venza is bigger on the outside than the RAV4. It has less cargo space on the inside. Yeah, you heard right. So what's the difference? Well, one site I looked at said this had 26 cubic feet and the RAV had 30 cubic feet. Another site told me that the RAV had 37 cubic feet and this had 29 cubic feet. Don't know which one's correct, but obviously this has less. And one journal suggested it might be because of all the batteries. It takes up room, but the RAV4 has the same basic batteries and it doesn't take up any more room, so that's not a legit explanation. The simple fact is, you get less interior room with this Venza than the RAV. Nobody knows why, except Toyota, they're not saying. But I must add, we're forgetting about the storage capacity under the floor where the spare tire is. A lot of room under there to put small items. If you count that, maybe this does have more storage space. Or at least equal. Alright, let's go back to the interior, see what we have here. And first of all, the doors come all the way down to the bottom, protecting the rocker panels from dirt and debris from the outside, so this stays clean. There's a lot of room in the glove box if you remove this super thick owner's book. I'd put it back where the spare tire is. A lot of room in that compartment. I was hoping for a modern push-button transmission shifter, or at least a rotary dial, but we get the standard stick, which takes up too much room, but some traditionalists like that, so here you go. There's a drive mode switch for normal, eco, or sport. This is a nice looking gauge cluster, but one of the biggest problems I have with Toyota and Lexus products is glare reflection on the gauge cluster, and as you can see, they still have a lot to learn. This one isn't as bad as the others, but still there. This vehicle has all the safety, so-called safety features, I say, like automatic braking, automatic steering. I don't want that nonsense. I want to disconnect it, and yes, you can do so. Like so. That's the good news. The bad news is when you turn the car off and start it back on, most of this stuff activates again. You have to go through this ritual every time you get in the car, which is very annoying. Whenever you turn off the safety nannies, you get an indicator light on the gauge cluster, which is fine. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the good news. The bad news is they're orange, which is the same color as a road warning light. And that is not good, because I'm driving down the road, I see an orange light, like a check engine light. It should be getting my attention, but now I have to ignore the orange lights because I have all these lit up. They should be a different color. Absolutely. But they're not. Needs to be changed someday. On the base Venza hybrid, you get a small 8-inch info screen. If you move up to the deluxe model like this, you get a larger one. I think it's 12 inches, if I recall, 12.3, whatever. It's bigger. That's the good news. The bad news is, if you get the smaller 8-inch screen, you get real knobs for the radio. Here, everything is touchscreen. And on the touch screen, you get a lot of glare, as you can see. I prefer the knobs, but if you want the larger screen, this is what you're going to get. And on the console, we get 2 nice cup holders, and the air conditioning or heated seats, where easy to operate buttons are right here. These sun visors don't slide back and forth on the side window to block out the sun. We get this little flap. Works reasonably well. On this upgraded limited model, we get this retractable roof. Apparently you don't look out, you just get more light. And with that roof, it's going to cost you $1,400 extra, which added to the total tab here. The base Venza comes with 18-inch wheels and tires, has a reputation for being a very smooth ride. If you get the upgraded limited, like we have here, it bumps up to 19 inches. So let's take these out and see how the ride quality is with these bigger wheels and rubber. And as we do in all of our videos, we want to take some mild speed humps at 15 miles per hour. See how the suspension performs on impact. That was smooth enough. Here comes bump number 2. Here comes bump number 3. And the nasty one, the big one. Yeah, I felt that one, but expect that with the bigger wheels. The power steering is excellent. Very responsive, good feeling feedback. With just over 200 horsepower, pulling just under 2 tons, you're not going to lay rubber with this rig, but with the electrical system, the batteries, motors, got a lot of bottom end torque. Good pickup from the stoplight. Very good pickup. Very smooth and quiet too. Nice brakes. And around 67 miles of driving, heavy city traffic only. And some 0 to 60 acceleration times, 32.8 mpg. This is some very rough pavement because of the construction and because of the larger tires. You hear a bit more rumbling than you normally would on the smaller wheels, but nothing serious. I've been driving this for several days, and even though on paper there's less cargo room, in this Venza compared to the RAV4. I don't really notice a difference. In fact, there seems to be more room in front where I'm sitting. I don't think the average person would notice a difference between a Venza and a RAV4, frankly. And I noticed the roof line is definitely higher on the Venza compared to the RAV, so that might help if you're loading tall stuff or hauling tall people. It's time to reset the mileage computer. Then we'll take a highway trip so we can bump up the numbers. This vehicle is reasonably quiet on the highway unless you run into rough pavement like I have here. Then the large 19-inch wheels let their presence be known, but this is a RAV4 platform, not a Lexus, so we shouldn't be complaining. Alright, let's pull over and see what the fuel economy reading is. What were they claiming on the highway? Was it 37 mpg? Well, 34.8, close enough. So what's my take on this Venza after a week of driving, and should you get this over the RAV4 hybrid? Well, on paper it might have less cargo room. In a practical sense it seems larger on the inside than a RAV to me, and it's better looking, so it might be a good choice for you. It's a Toyota, so it's going to last a long time. Here's some links to other Toyota vehicles we've driven. Just click and watch.